How's your day going, man?
Going real well. Just 2.5 hour drive to my first appointment. So we're headed there.
Oh, where are you going?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay. How do you like that area?
I like it a lot. It's by far my best, my best return ROI area for sure. So it's really does really well for me.
Got it. So would you say it's a wealthy area or quite the opposite?
No, Milwaukee is definitely. I mean, it has wealthy parts, but a lot of it is not low income. Lower income, the mortgages are like 100,000 to 150,000. A lot of them. But then there's I run in 3 counties. Waukesha County has a little bit more well-off people, bigger, expensive homes. And then Racine County I run as well. That one's kind of like a mix of both. So it's got kind of everything.
Got it.
The 3 counties I run.
Yeah, because I hear from some producers pointing fingers at some others that are on the top of the leaderboard, and they're saying, "Oh, I know them. They're running in the wealthy area. They're running where people have the money." And we both know, you and me, that it's really
yeah, no, it doesn't. And honestly, I feel like it's a lot harder when you're running in areas where everybody has money. Because everyone wants to talk to their financial advisor, or they don't want to make a decision on the spot, or they feel like having a salesperson come in and just buy something on the spot is like, I don't know, frowned upon or something like that. So honestly, it's a lot, I would say for me, it's a lot more difficult areas that people that have a lot of money,
Awesome. Well, we'll include this into our podcast. Definitely good information here, but now officially welcome to Financial Freedom Podcast. And I have a special guest today, Ryan Koski, with FFL. Well, we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be here soon. We're going to keep that as an intrigue and, as a surprise, and we're going to bring Ryan back when it's going to hit senior sales manager. But for now, big congrats on the sales manager, the very first milestone, and definitely wanted to recognize them in. So good stuff. Good things are coming, and congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And, just trying to follow the people that came before me. It's pretty easy when you can do that.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's real. FFL has a blueprint. It has a formula to basically achieve whatever you want. Is it going to take you a year, 3, 5, 7? Nobody knows. It's totally up to you, I think. And because the opponent here in this game is yourself, as always, right? So, as you are on the way to your financial freedom, Ryan, I'm pretty sure I don't expect you to have any smaller goals than that. Let's talk about your journey a little bit. And again, congrats, but obviously you didn't come in. I know some people coming in to our company with a team with $250,000 volume, right? And
yeah.
Your first milestone, I know it wasn't easy. It never is. I think hitting 150,000 is probably the hardest. That's when you're figuring things out. But let's go back in the beginning. Can you just talk to us where you came from? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And by the way, thanks for jumping on time out of your schedule.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm honored to be on here. Hopefully we can help somebody out today. So I mean, I'm 23 years old, from, the Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area. I didn't have any background in insurance or anything like that. I did some door-to-door sales with True Green selling lawn care. And then I spent a year as in a sales manager position for a lawn care company as well, a small family-owned business there. And so I got some good experience just as far as, different types of sales, whether it's phone, in-person, upselling. So I had a few years of good experience, and then a little bit of time managing there. So that was good. I don't know. I always wanted to own my own business, but I didn't really know that that's what I wanted. I didn't really have any immediate family members that I was close to that owned their own businesses, because I didn't really want to have a boss or work just the 9 to 5 or come in when someone told me to come in. But I didn't really know that that's what I wanted. So I always kind of found myself in these positions where I'm trying to, I want to feel like I'm working for myself, but really I'm just working for somebody else. So Gabe Erickson, who's, obviously got a huge agency doing like 1.5 almost now, a month. he had texted me April of 2020, and he's like, dude, I think I found a gold mine. And if you know Gabe well, he's a character. So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, Gabe. I was like, what is it? So he told me, he's like, guess how much money I made this morning? And I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, $500 seems like it'd be a lot. It's on a Sunday morning. I'm like, $500 seems. I'm like, $500. He's like, no. I'm like, $1,000. He's like, no. I'm like, how much did you make? He's like, dude, I just made $3,000. And he had just had, you know, one of his appointments Sunday morning before church that he went and closed it Americo for like $3,000. And I was like, okay, all right. So, but from there, I just kind of sat and watched for like 8 months. I was a little skeptical. And then finally in January, I got going and I did, you know, about, I think it was 19,000 in my first 3 weeks for January. And then from there, I kind of decided to stop working hard. Just kind of fell off, didn't do too well for a few months. And then once I started working hard again, things just started falling into place. It's funny how that works. When you put the activity and the work in, you know, then the results come after.
Absolutely, Ryan. Well, it's definitely a pleasure seeing you grow, looking at your journey, and you know, it's amazing. I think I keep telling everybody everywhere I can that probably the best feeling in this industry is to see other people succeed, you know, and getting to where they want to be, seeing them progress. It truly is. So before I personally started building an agency, I thought that the best feeling is walking out of the house knowing that, you know, the house is approved, clients protected, and they're going to send you $5,000 next day. You know what I mean? So I thought that's the best feeling. In fact, it's not, but definitely is amazing, you know, to see that transformation. But let me ask you a question. Let's go back a little bit. I know you told us also a little bit about the beginning of your journey with FFL, but you were spectating, being on the sidelines for quite some time, right? So, I mean, for me personally, it was a little bit less. It was probably 3 to 4 months. And my thing was, I kept telling myself I wasn't ready and I needed to make more money and save more money to jump into something, to have some kind of cushion. But you waited for probably 2.5 times longer. So number one, why? Number two, what actually made that decision to come on board? So,
Yeah.
And three, what would you say to people that's sidelines watching this video right now?
Yeah, that's a real good question. So for me, like I kind of said at the beginning, I was almost lying to myself, trying to convincing myself I was in a better position than I was in. And I think a lot of us, we have a tendency to fantasize or romanticize the situations that we're in and try to make ourselves feel better. We know we're not where we want to be. So we'll talk better about it, you know, than it really is. And we kind of try to convince ourselves that it's better than what it was. And the moment that I realized, I was doing that, at the time, I was a sales manager at that lawn care company. You know, I mean, I wasn't making a ton of money there. It was okay money. As we were growing, though, there was potential to earn more. And so Gabe was like, oh, you know what? Why haven't you started yet? It was probably a couple months after I talked to him, maybe like in July or August. I told him, I was like, man, I was like, you know what, Gabe, like, you know, I mean, I own 5% of this business here. It's not a ton, but I own 5% of it. I told him, I was like, in a year or two, you know, I'll be making 50, 60,000 a year and I'll be fine. And I remember he was just like, I was on the phone with him and he was just like, okay. And the tone of voice that he said it with was just like, okay, all right, that's fine. You know, you do you, that if that's what you want, that's okay. Go ahead and do that. And then he just kind of was like, all right, well, sounds good. You know, let me know if you need anything, and hung up the phone. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, is that what I want? Do I want 50,000? Like, is that all that I want? 50,000 a year and 5% of a company? And so honestly, from there, that's kind of when the spark started for me. And I was like, you know what? I see all this potential and I know that I can do it. So from there, that's when I started getting my license. It took me a little bit because I was obviously working full time. And so I waited until the off season because I wanted to try it out while I wasn't working at the other company because I didn't want to burn any bridges. So January, I started. The reason that I decided to start was just because I realized that what I was looking for was comfortability, and comfortability is not your friend. And really in America today, 50, 60,000, that's not going to make you comfortable. You know, you're still going to deal with that stress. A lot of people will be living paycheck to paycheck on that. And so I just decided to get uncomfortable and take a chance on myself. And that's what I would say, to a lot of new agents is don't lie to yourself about the situation that you're in. Like it takes 20, 30 years sometimes in these corporate companies to get to a spot where, you're doing well for yourself and you're not going to have to worry financially, if something crazy happens that you're going to be okay. You can make that happen in a matter of a month here at Family First Life. And take a chance on yourself. If you follow the system and you work hard, it's going to work out for you.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, let's talk about your journey here so far, but this is good, man. I definitely I enjoy listening to everyone's thought process, just so we can understand each other better. It's just fascinating. Like, and everybody thinks so differently, but at the same time, this in a similar way. But what I can say about being not just similar, but very classic, I'll call it that, is the success story and the journey of you being here. So you've been here for almost a year now, right, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah, it'll be a year coming January. So this is month 12 for me.
Okay. Perfect. So, but I want to say it's a classic story, how you came on, sold 19 grand and probably never made this kind of money before in 1 month, right? So when you're writing 19 grand in 3 weeks, let's be transparent. For all the people outside of FFL that's listening to us right now and considering, if you write $19,000 with FFL, what are you really making?
So at that time, when I had got the leads, I got them on New Year's Eve, and they were doing a sale. It was 50% off on the CRM, and I think you were reimbursing people another 50%. So I didn't even know what I bought, anything like that. Gabe was like, buy everything that's in there for Lake County. I was like, okay. So I just bought everything that was there. It was like 268 leads. To this day, I still don't know what I bought. I spent $650. So I mean, it should have been times 4. So I probably was about $2,000, $2,500 worth of leads that I got for that first time. So that was like $650. And then over the rest of that month, I think I had spent about 2,500 in leads. So take that out of the 19, and then you're depositing 75% of that up front. So you're looking at 14, 15 grand deposited, take 2.5 out for leads, call it $1,000 for other random expenses, 10 to 12 to be safe, is what I'm netting from that.
That's awesome. I mean, I've before FFL, I've tried so many different things, and nothing was that profitable, and nothing was that profitable either. So I don't think it's just about profitability. I think it's about predictability as well. But so you worked for 3 weeks, wrote 19. Being in the beginning of your journey, you were probably also at a little bit lower cost compared to where you have now, and had some expenses. Still cleared quite a bit of money. Then relaxed, probably started feeling a little bit more comfortable. Started skipping, just like everybody else do. That's why it's a very, very classic, scenario here. Made a bunch of money. Probably bought something or went for vacation. Came back to charge back. It was okay. Where did you go?
It was my wife and I's anniversary, so we went to San Diego for like a week and a half.
Oh wow, a week and a half. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, knowing your goals now, I don't know when next time you're gonna go for a week and a half, but not to beef up my case or anything, but I haven't gone anywhere for a week and a half in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it'll be post integrity for sure. A week and a half.
That's awesome, but no, this is funny. I want to say almost everybody doing it. I didn't go for vacation. My issue was different. I had in the same situation. I didn't go anywhere, but chargebacks mess up with my brain so bad that I just shut down and stopped working. I think your situation is a little better. At least you went to San Diego for a week and a half. I was still in Chicago for a couple of weeks. Okay, so and then you got back, and talk to us a little bit about the journey of climbing out of the situation where you were. What did you have to change, and just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I wrote 19 grand in my first 3 weeks, and then February hit, went on vacation for a week and a half, came back to some chargebacks. And February, March, and April, I was increasing my lead spend every month, and my production was steadily declining though. So February I wrote 15, March was 13, and April was 12. Whatever those next 3 months are. So month 3 and 4 of this business, I was spending more on leads, and I actually, between personal expenses, business expenses, actually lost money both of those months. And the reason that was is because I just wasn't working hard. In between appointments, I would just watch Netflix on my phone, go home, take a nap, watch the football game, basketball game, whatever was going on. And I would have 5 appointments in 2 days, and I would just run my 5 appointments and chill. And I was wondering, well, why am I not doing well? How am I losing money? And I'm like, okay, it's funny because we again, lying to ourselves, we tell ourselves, oh yeah, I worked 40 hours because we clocked in at 9 and left at 5. But in reality, maybe most of us honestly maybe do 20, 25 hours of actual work. And that's what I was doing. I was working like 10, 11 hours. And just because I was away from my house for 35, 40 hours a week, convincing myself that I was working full time. So I was working like 10 hours a week and wondering why I was making 10 hours a week's worth of money. And it was kind of ridiculous. And so I got to a spot where after 2 months of losing money like that, I didn't have a ton of money. So I had to start putting the work in. And so that's what I started doing. I set a goal to book 8 extra appointments on my run days, whether that's dialing extra or door knocking. And the reason that I set it for 8 extra appointments a week is because if you do 8 appointments a week, over the course of the month, you're going to add 4 extra run days, which is 1 FFL week. So I was starting to turn every 4-week month into a 5-week month, and 5 into 6.5 almost. And so I'm giving myself extra money just based off of extra activity. For me, the average run day right now is worth about $2,000 to $2,500. It's what I make on almost every single run day. So I'm adding 4 run days a month. I'm adding 8 to 10 grand in business every month. So once I started doing that, I started that next month I wrote, I think 23. But because of my first few months, I wrote some bad business, and I leaned on the free look period pretty heavy to get some sales for 28 days straight. When I was writing that 23 grand, I didn't get paid because of chargebacks. And I had lost money 2 months in a row because I wasn't working hard. Started putting the work in, but wasn't seeing any money because of chargebacks. So for 28 days, I was working as hard as I could, driving 2.5 hours up to Wisconsin, praying the entire way, that God would allow me to make some money. And I was making sales. I wrote 23 grand, but I wasn't getting paid. And so I got to a spot at the end of that 5th month where I only had $400 in my checking account. I was 2 weeks late on my rent. I had $4,000 in lead debt on credit cards. I didn't know what I was going to do. For me, $4,000 of lead debt, that was like a lot of money for me. Like I had never really had credit card debt ever in my life.
This is good. And I guess I'm definitely dying to hear what you did exactly to get yourself out of it going forward, but also explain to us what working hard really means. Like you said that, you had to work extra days, so on and so forth, but talk to us about that from the dialing perspective, from the run perspective. Give us your schedule, because it's just going to get interesting further in your story there. Yes, you had to overcome and work, essentially it felt like for free, but just for everybody that's watching us, so they understand precisely what hard work really means. Because you're 23 years old, and by the way, Ryan, quick question here in the middle, what was your biggest month? How much money you made the most in 1 month so far?
45,000.
45,000. Wow. At age 23, you made 45 grand in 1 month. Just listen to this, guys. This is it sounds too good to be true. I'll be honest with you. 99% of the cases, my rule of thumb is if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right? So, but this is one of those where it's real. I mean, I felt it many months. You did, and it's just amazing. Wow. I guess I wasn't tracking the numbers that close. I didn't know it was 45 grand that they issued the most, but that's solid, man. Congrats. So 45 grand, 23 years old. Tell us, like, for everybody that's watching and thinking, all right, should I do this or not? We do believe that anybody can do this. Absolutely anybody can do this. Not everybody's willing to do this. Give us a fair assessment. What does the hard work really mean? Because you cannot just, in the legit opportunity like FFL is, where everything's legal, ethical, and be making money by helping people, which is like so rare, right? So, I mean, this is just incredible. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. But give us the fair assessment. What does it really take to make 45 grand? Because it's not easy. We know that. But for those that are contemplating and thinking, I mean, this is sound amazing, I'm gonna try. And then they're gonna probably go through the same cycle as you are, classic scenario, but give us the gist. Give us the the honest 100% truth about what this work hard really means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so everyone sees the 45 grand in a month, 250,000 in a year, but what they don't see is the months of hard work, working 70, 80, hours a week. So it is difficult, right? This is a simple process that we do, but it is not easy. It is difficult. So for me, what I had to make sure I was doing, so I said Wisconsin's my most profitable area. Normally, my first appointment is at 8 or 9 a.m. up in Wisconsin. It's a 2.5 to 3 hour drive, depending on what county I'm in, for my first appointment. So I get up at 4:30. I leave at 5 to get to my first appointment at 8, and my last appointment's at 8:30. I book every hour and 15 minutes because I run 3 counties. It's a little bit more drive time. So last appointment's at 8:30. Usually leave around 9:30. Get back around 11:30 midnight. So leaving at 5. Getting back at 11 or midnight. And that's at least 2 days a week that I do that. This week, a lot of weeks, it's 3 or 4 days a week. So that's part one of it. It's just the hours and being willing to drive. Like, most people aren't willing to put that many hours of work in, put those miles and pay for the gas in the car. But again, when you make 45,000 in a month, I don't care how many cars I have to buy. Like, a car payment is nothing. Sorry, had a phone call there. So that's part one of it, right? Is being willing to do more than other people. Because again, most people would like to make a lot of money, but they don't want to do the work that it takes. It's a lot of sacrifice, time away from my wife, not hanging out with friends. I used to play basketball all the time. I have not played basketball in probably 6 months. And I used to do that like several times a week. And so there's a lot of sacrifice. And for me, that was a big sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time. And then part two of that working hard is making sure that the hours, just because I'm not at my house doesn't mean that I'm working. Just because I drive 2.5 hours to Wisconsin doesn't mean that I'm putting work in. That just means that I'm not at home. So making sure that I'm staying busy and profitable. Money-making activity is what we call it. I'm pretty sure FFL wide, that's what they call it. Maybe it's just the F320 thing. I don't know. But I'm making sure I'm always doing something that's going to make me money in the future, whether that's watching training videos, on a recruiting call, door knocking, or dialing. Those are the 4 things that I'm making sure that I'm doing while I'm in my car or if I'm sitting in between appointments. So what I had to do is, I said earlier, I set a goal of booking 8 extra appointments on run days every week. So what I would do is I wouldn't book my first appointment till 8 a.m. Obviously, when I'm in Wisconsin, I can't really do this, but Lake County or anywhere local, I wouldn't book my first appointment till 8 a.m. So that way on Tuesday morning, if I didn't already have 18 appointments was my goal. If I didn't already have 18 appointments booked Monday, I had 2 hours to dial Tuesday morning from 7:30 to 9:30 to book up whatever I needed. And then while I'm out on run days in my car, if I have more than 5 minutes in my car, I will dial whatever leads I have. If I have more than 30 minutes, I'll door knock. Now on Tuesdays and Fridays, I prioritize dialing for the next day. And then on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I don't dial any, and all I do is door knock. So kind of depending on what day it is. But so making sure that however much time I have, whatever time is available to me, that I'm using it to be productive. Because our time here is very, very valuable. Most of us come from working for $15, $20 an hour. And it's not worth, our time isn't worth $20 an hour. To us, it's worth that to the person that pays us. But when you can realize here how valuable your time is and how much your time is worth, I think the average weekend for me, dude, I make like $350 an hour. That's with Thursday dial day included. And dude, if you treat your time like, okay, this 20 minutes of my time is worth $75, you're not going to waste time watching Netflix or going down random black holes on YouTube. You know, you're going to do something that's going to make you money. So when you can get a hold of that concept and just make sure that you're always doing something that's going to make you money, it's not going to take very long before you are being profitable. And that was what I needed to do to fix to get there. And there was so many days where driving up to Wisconsin, I'm watching like 8 hours of podcasts a day, shedding tears on the way up. Because again, I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't make money that day. And people just don't see that. They don't see that grind, but that's what it takes. It's a lot of like emotion and like sacrifice and just a ton of, I've worked harder than I ever thought I could work, and that's what it takes. That's what it's taken for me.
Wow. That's crazy. And I know this podcast is all about you, Ryan. I don't mean to take it away from you, but I mean, wow, this is crazy. I remember driving and, and by the way, the takeaways are amazing. I think that for everybody listening, like my personal takeaway, and I'm really taking the mental notes here, is the self-employment hour is different from employee hour. That's really what it is here. So, and I'm so happy you recognize that, Ryan. And man, this is I'm getting goosebumps listening to you, remembering how I also had to drive probably, I don't know, maybe hour 45 minutes away in the very corner of Illinois, right by Wisconsin border, where there's no interstates, and still making it to my appointment. And quite honestly, what I don't remember is whether I sold that appointment or not. I'm just trying to think now, did I sell that appointment or not? Because it so doesn't matter. Because if you gonna just understand this, you control what you can control, and always going to your last appointment makes a huge difference. And that's why I probably don't even remember whether I closed that appointment or not. And I would love to believe I did, but I don't remember. But I remember driving away from that appointment, looking on the dash of my car and seeing that there is no gas, and realizing there's no money in the bank account, and realizing that there's no limit on the credit card, and realizing I still can probably look around my car and find some quarters. So I looked around everywhere. I pulled the rugs. I found things there. It's crazy. But that's when you talk about this, I mean, it brings that picture back. And I remember finding probably $1.80, and I had the i4 4-cylinder car back then, thank God. So I remember pulling to the gas station on probably just vapor. There was no liquid in the tank. Putting $1.80 worth of gas, and knowing that $1.80 is definitely not enough to get me home, but and I'm putting the car in the self-driving mode, just so I don't have to accelerate too much, and basically putting in a cruise control, and still making it home on $1.80. So and praying the whole way there that I can make it there, and trying to keep RPMs under 1,500 all the time. Yep. Nobody sees that, but man, so I love hearing that from you too. That everybody goes through it, and like I can just commend you for committing yourself to that 2.5-hour drive to Wisconsin all the time, and it's not easy. But that's the real work. There is nothing difficult, but man, mentally it's tough, and that's the main part, and that's why ourselves are like we're just fighting ourselves every day. There's no competition. Forget about competition. I also remember flying to Dallas consistently to sell, and one guy from our group told me, "Oh man, this area is so competitive. Why even flying there? People have guns here. Like you can't really door knock." And he was joking, probably, whatever. But he's a knucklehead, so just like all of us. But anyways, saying that, it's the most competitive area in the country. The truth is, competition is us all the time. Me thinking at that time, I'm like, I don't think so, because I'm not going to get back to my hotel room earlier than 11 o'clock, probably.
Yep.
I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to door knock. I'm going to, and if you think that the area is most competitive, if you live there, if you think that way, you're probably home by 6 o'clock. That's why it feels like there's competition. When you're committed to the process like you are, right? Like, there's no competition. Let's be real. You just have to believe in yourself the way you did. But talk to us, and that's the last part on the personal production. We're definitely gonna talk a little bit about building, and we'll let you go. We know your time is extremely valuable. If it's $350 minimum, I want to say it's probably double of that, and you're not even realizing it, because hiring, recruiting, and doing all this activity is probably more than that. So, but knowing that there's a FFL is the shortcut to the integrity deal as well. Me personally, the way I taught before I got the deal is I was multiplying everything by 8, because we know why. So everything's times 8. You saying 350? I don't think so, Ryan. Like change your thinking around that, because it's all times 8. If that's your goal, that it's all times 8. Anyways, talk to us a little bit about you, like how you worked on your mindset, because we know there's a conscious mind, right? So it's the information we receive, it's when we think, it's when we process things, it's when we, basically that surface thinking, right? 10% in the subconscious mind is 90% of it, and that's how we essentially make our decisions. That's who we are. That's basically our core beliefs and things like that. And I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, you had to work on that as well. How did you? What was intentionality behind working on your mindset? What did you have to do? How were you able to overcome yourself and fight yourself in certain situations and still come out as a winner?
I love that question. So number one, I think the biggest thing is I didn't try to rely on myself. I made sure that I was calling Gabe and Matt and reaching out to, top producers on Facebook and getting their advice and opinion. I didn't want to be on an island, because I knew I couldn't do it myself. And it sort of is my nature to want to do that by myself, but I understood that I couldn't. So that was number one, just asking and trying to get advice. I'm not trying to do it all on my own. But as far as like getting through that, so when I was in that period where I wrote 23 grand, but didn't get paid, didn't have, any money, I was either going to pay half of my rent 2 weeks late or buy leads. And that's the choice that I had to make. And I was like, well, paying half of my rent's not gonna get me anywhere. I'm still, had to pay the other half, and I don't have the money for it. So it was a Tuesday, and I had, spent that $400. I drove up to Wisconsin, 2.5 hours, didn't sell anything all day. Drove 2.5 hours back. Wednesday morning, drove 2.5 hours up to Wisconsin. Halfway through the day, I had 8 appointments, 4 appointments in, didn't sell anything, and I was frustrated. I remember I called Gabe, I called Matt, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was at the point where if I didn't make it happen, it wasn't going to work out for me. And so at that point, I was so frustrated, and I was doing so much training, and I was trying to implement so many things. I was listening to a lot of Steve Giordano and a lot of Rob Richmond and a lot of Gabe and everything like that. And I was trying to be all these people, and I was constantly adding things and taking things away from my my in-home presentation. And I guess I just didn't have any consistency. So I didn't know what I needed to change, because I was always changing something. So I heard Stephen Yee say on a podcast to one of his guys, if you've done well in the past, stop overtraining and over implementing. Don't overthink it. Just go in, do what you know you do best, and trust yourself. And so that's what I did. Instead of, it's kind of funny, but instead of watching like a training podcast before my next appointment, it was appointment number 5 out of 8. I watched an episode of The Office, which is my favorite show. And just to kind of try to get myself into my mindset to where I'm not, again, not trying to be Steve Giordano. And so I just said, you know what, I'm going to be confident. And I did real well my first 3 weeks. I'm going to do what I did then. And I closed the next 3 in a row, and I haven't looked back from there. So it was kind of just having confidence in myself and just not trying to do too much. I'm not saying don't train, you need to train, But if you've been here for a while and you find yourself in a rut, just go back to know what you to what you know you do well, and believe in yourself. That confidence, when you have confidence, that's going to transfer over to the client. They're going to be more willing to trust you when you're confident in yourself and in your abilities.
Wow, this is amazing, and that's probably the most important thing is to say. I mean, is to essentially say that. I mean, why not me, right? So I can do it. So whichever way you have to do it, whatever you need to do to figure that out and convince yourself. I don't like this, phrase, fake it till you make it. You don't really need to fake it here. You just need to be yourself. You just
absolutely.
Meet people where they're at. You just need to understand, why not me? I just have to work hard. So this is good, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people learn a ton from you here. So you're on the front lines, man. You out there grinding every day. So this is some good material here. This is some good content and good knowledge. So we appreciate you sharing that. Let's just talk about one more thing, and we're gonna wrap it up here. Building. You just hit a sales manager, which is 50,000 in paid production. So, and that was what, 3 weeks, right? We didn't get our 4-week.
Yeah, number. that was third week of October that I hit that.
Wow. Okay. So now in basically that's a good achievement. I remember being with my previous agency, being with my previous captive agency, and I think our whole team of, I don't know, the whole office was probably hitting 100,000 a month. The whole office, but the office had a floor to ceiling glass conference room with humongous table and the plasma TV. It had a huge dial room. It had a bunch of private offices. It was in a very nice area. It was in a very expensive building. It had like 2 receptionists. It's a full blown operation, but we're 25 people making 100,000 combined a month, right? So, and that's crazy. Now you knocking on that 100,000, being in the business for a month. I just want to bring a perspective here, because I know in the reality of FFL, you're looking at some of the top people, you're like, whoa, like how is that even possible? And you need to constantly bridge that gap and remind yourself that I can do it too. I'll be there eventually as well. There's nothing that's impossible. But I just want to congratulate you on that success and bring realization, Ryan, that you are at that level. With at the level of the office with a beautiful furniture, 25 agents running around and trying to be productive. So that's where you're at. Okay. So it's massive. But let me ask you this: how many agents issued business that month?
That month, I think the issue paid report was only 6. I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was 6.
There you go. So it gives you a little bit of perspective there, because at the end of the day, obviously if we're gonna look into economics 101, right? So we're gonna realize that there is in the cycles of the economy, there's only a few things that influence that, which is in U.S. it's the debt, it's obligations and productivity at the end of the day. So the productivity is insane, where with FFL, 6 people are as productive as 25 people in elsewhere with let's say a captive agency. So that's pretty cool. So now what was some of the things that allowed you to hit this level, and also how did you come around the idea that I don't want to just sell and go make 45 grand. I'm willing to take some of that money and put it back in the business. What was the thought process behind that? Why would you want to, because I've seen some people making this kind of money with our company and saying, all right, I'm just going to start my rental property. You know what I mean? So what's in it for you, Ryan?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't want to work 60 hours a week for the rest of my life, you know? If I had to do that, would I? Absolutely. But so that potential upside of just having the integrity at the end of the tunnel, and being able to have that the goal, that was one of the reasons. The second one is just because, you know, I mean, you're going to follow the people that are in front of you. Gabe and Caleb and Matt were building a big team. So I was like, okay, I can build a big team. So I think leading by example is huge. And then, you know, just, I felt I did at the beginning, I didn't want to share the opportunity because I didn't want to be that guy, that annoying, pesky person who's like cold messaging people and everything like that. And I mean, I still don't cold message. But I honestly think with the opportunity that we have here, it's so selfish to keep it to yourself. Just think about it. If you could help 2 of your family members make, just call it 10,000 a month, how much is that going to change their life and change, you know, their families, you know, the generational wealth of their family? Like that just makes a huge difference. And it's selfish not to share the opportunity. So what I just started doing at the beginning, I didn't have money to dump into a cold market, which now I have a recruiter and I'm dumping money into the cold market. But I just started posting on social media. It's absolutely free. I try not to share things about myself too often. I share things about other people, newer agents that are doing well, the issue paid reports, the weekly numbers, submit statistics, things like that. And just letting people see how much money that we're making here. And almost every time I put the caption, anyone can do this. Like that's all I really put. I just put, this person made this amount of money in a week. Anybody can do this. And I'll get people that message me. And from there, I immediately add them to the Facebook, the Serve the People Facebook group. Because, dude, that's free marketing all the time. They're always getting notifications. And so I have people who were on there for months that didn't do a thing, didn't reach out to me, nothing at all, thought they dropped off the face of the earth. And then randomly, they're like, hey, I see all this stuff going on in that Facebook group. Like, I'm ready to get in. And, dude, that's doing the marketing and the work for me. And that's all free. Like, I don't have to do anything. It takes 10 seconds for me to share a post, you know, that you shared on Facebook or Instagram. And it's all free. Add them to the Facebook group as soon as possible. Get them in the Slack channel. Like that's all free marketing. They're going to get bombarded with stuff. If you can get them on the email blasts, get them on the email blasts, and eventually they're going to come around.
Absolutely. Well, I know it's not easy. You know, selling's not easy, but I think when selling, you see instant gratification. I'm glad you understand what you understand, Ryan, because there's no such thing as instant gratification on the building side. Well, I mean, to begin with, there's no instant gratification on the selling side everywhere else either, because I've been around companies where it takes 2-3 months to get paid on the deals you write. So here we do see that side. That's why it's easier to have the cash flow to build a business. But as you said, even without the cash flow, there's still free marketing, you know, and consistency is the key here. I know you didn't say that, but I know you 100% on board with that, and you realize that they're, you know, just constantly doing certain things and putting in the time will yield results eventually. And you know, people will get tired being spectators just like you were back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll jump in eventually, but on the other hand, it's also not easy because as you said, like I hear from people, like when we blast emails, they call it spam. When we promote stuff on social media, they call it cheesy, corny. They just say it's not real and it's multi-level, whatever. So and there's a lot of peer pressure and social pressure from that standpoint. But like at the end of the day, we're changing lives here. We know yours did change around, and I'm glad you're on board with, you know, keeping that and making that not just about money, but about spreading the good word and just sharing the opportunity with people. So it's amazing. But you know, everything at the end of the day, everything is a pyramid anyways. So but
yeah, exactly.
This is a good one where it's win all the way around for clients, for agents, for companies, for FFL. So I'm excited to work side by side with you, Ryan, and it's I mean, I've learned a ton, and as you sharing all this, I can resonate with it, and I could definitely you know, I could definitely relate, and you know, I don't know, it's just I'm so excited. Every single podcast I record, we're as excited. I'm as excited as I can be because this is just amazing, amazing to hear stories like yours. But let's wrap it up with this. What is your goal for 2021, Ryan? And again, I truly do appreciate your time being here. So, if you can share a little bit with us about your plans, aspirations, and goals, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. I see no reason I can't be at 1 million at the end of 2022. So that's my goal for next year, to be at 1 million a month. I want to have at least 20 agents doing 20,000, 20,000 a month. And that's honestly my biggest goal, is just to change as many people's lives as I possibly can. And Ivan, I just want to give a quick shout out to you. I went to one of the sales conferences that was in Chicago. I think it was sometime summer of 2020, and heard you speak and just talk about your struggles. And not like, talking bad about you, but hearing you talk and the things that you went through, how your story coming over, and just that you were doing whatever you needed to do. You finally found this and you were able to work hard enough to make it happen. Like, that made me know that I could do it too. And so I just want to say a huge thanks to you, and just seeing your work ethic and what you did. I mean, that you're transparent with it, and you're not just showing all the good things, you're showing the bad things too. It helps me believe and helps me understand, hey, now I know what I need to do to make it work. And so I just want to say, I really appreciate you, all the hard work you put in. Obviously, you did your time, and I think it paid off for you. So.
Hey, we're just getting started, first of all, but I appreciate you saying that, because I think now I have more motivation and energy to work even harder, just because I'm seeing people like you, Ryan, being part of our team. And I appreciate you saying that, though. But you can be straightforward and say that if the schmuck like you, Ivan, made it happen here, then I can do it too, because I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and let people know who I am, where I came from. And the truth is, when I speak off the stage, you won't be impressed. It's just like, whatever. I just get on and I just share. And I think that's every single time I walk on the stage. My goal is to show people that, I mean, if I did it, you guys can do it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm not the best at pretty much anything I do, and that's really that. But you can call it what it is. I'm not gonna get offended, Ryan. So